Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the TED Show. We have this beautiful returning guest. She's talented. She's a real estate guru. She's a speaker goddess. I'm just going to keep using all the good words for you. Tina Valiant's back with us. She is going to share some teasers about, we've got an event coming up June 8th. She does, where she is going to really impart a lot of her knowledge and wisdom on you, things that have made her successful, things that you can do differently, maybe think outside the box. That link is already in the comments. Welcome, Tina. How you doing?
Great. It's nice to be here again. I love your show.
Oh, well, thank you. I love your energy, which is why this conference is going to be amazing. And we talked a while back about how there haven't been that many in-person ones that are specifically geared toward what you want to do. But before we take a deep dive, tell them a little bit about you, and then we'll really take a look at the event and what's going to be happening.
Sure. Well, I had my real estate license for 21 years and did different aspects of real estate, from foreclosure defense and short sale negotiations to timeshare sales back in the day. And through all of my experience that I've learned over the years, I found a huge problem with real estate agents today. And that's that when they get into real estate, they don't realize they're getting into sales. They think, oh yeah, all my friends and family are going to buy from me, and everybody I know, and I'm going to get all these referrals. And the bottom line is you're in sales. When you get into real estate, you need to know how to sell, and nobody is teaching that to agents. So I designed my own system.
But what was the thought process when you started to design your own system? Because there's so many different amazing inspirational things, new tools. There's so many things out there that are available. How were you able to curtail it? Maybe give us a little bit of the process of how you finally came up with something like the first 5 steps.
Well, so what happened was when I moved to Arizona 5 years ago and I activated my license here in 2017 in January, I didn't know anybody here. So I jumped into real estate. I had some help and I started taking classes because I wanted to bridge the gap between Orlando real estate, Florida real estate in general, and Arizona real estate. They're very, very different. So the first year I door knocked. I did open houses 5 days a week and made my open houses my offices. I started a networking group so that I could meet other professionals and start building networking that way. My first year in real estate here, I sold 42 properties my first year and ended up being nominated Rookie of the Year for the state, which was pretty cool.
Amazing. Very cool.
Yeah, very cool. And I was like, wow, okay. So that was good. And then people started wanting to join my team. Well, I didn't have a team. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to be a team leader. So I created a team and made all the mistakes that you could possibly make as a team leader initially. I always tell people in training, I'm like, I'm telling you what I learned. Don't be me and how I learned this, right? And all of these agents started coming to me. And one of the things that I noticed about them is they didn't know how to close. They didn't understand the psychology behind a client. They didn't understand how to overcome objections. And because of that, they were not having the same level of success. And I realized in that moment that my timeshare background and being taught negotiations by attorneys for 10 years, all of that played into my success. So I started designing steps of the sales process and corporate level sales training for my team. They ended up winning award after award after award the first year. And everybody was like, okay, you're taking brand new licensees and experienced agents, and you're taking them all to this level that people are not seeing. How are you doing that? So I started developing it into a 2-day workshop to teach all agents that truly want to learn how to increase their business, whether existing agents that have been in the business for years and years to brand new agents coming right out of school. It doesn't matter the level. They're being taught things that they've never been taught in real estate before.
It's fascinating too to me because, and I think the teaser for the first 5 steps is going to be awesome. Because I think people get bombarded with so much information and they don't know how to disseminate it. They don't know how to compartmentalize it. And then they get overloaded and then they become completely paralyzed. So what you're talking about doing is giving them some clear steps, some clear methods, step by step, something you know and have tested and have seen work that actually works, instead of the 75 different blogs they read and the videos they watch and the other conferences they go to that really just barely scratch the surface. And in my opinion, a lot of these things are the exact same conversation, just worded differently. So tell us about that. Tell us about the first 5 steps, and take a deep dive for whatever you can.
Let's do it this way. So first, let's go over the psychology of the people that we meet. I have built my main part of my business on open houses. And here's the thing. There's a lot of agents out there that believe that open houses don't work. I can tell you that just 3 weeks ago, my team members sold 3 of the houses they were sitting that weekend. So if you know the right process, it actually does work. So when people walk into an open house, their task tension is way up here. And we call it task tension for a reason. The psychology behind these clients or potential clients is this. You're like a used car salesperson. They're walking in, you're going to bombard them and try to get all of their information and then send them a ton of emails and keep calling them. And they're not even going to actually get to look at the property. So they come in with what we call the popcorn. It is the kernel that they've been cooking in the car, because buyers and sellers are liars. They come in and they're like, oh no, I have an agent. I'm looking for a friend. I'm a neighbor. I'm just looking. Like, they're trying to get away from you. And you actually see them almost like try to run away from you, right? And it's because they have this idea that we are all the same. And the idea is that you have to be different, and you have to bring that task tension. I'm so mirrored. You have to bring their task tension down in order for them to actually open up to you. And there's a whole psychology behind that, which is mostly what I teach, is the psychology behind everything that we do. So when they walk in, they're expecting you to be like, you must sign in. And they're expecting you to walk over and try to shake their hand, because that's what everybody else has done at their open house. We haven't earned the right to do that yet. The first step is the meet and greet. Very simple. They walk in. Hi, how did you find us today? And they're obviously going to tell you the signs, or Zillow or Redfin or wherever they found you. And you're going to be like, wonderful. The second step is telling them, I'm going to tell you the story of the home, and then I'm going to set you free. Now, you shouldn't have tried to bombard them. You shouldn't have introduced yourself with your name yet. If you have a name tag on, fine, but don't get in their personal space, because they're already afraid of you. Now, the other psychology behind this is it takes 3 times to see somebody before they start to see you as a familiar face. So when the meet and greet, that's your first time. You tell them the story of the house as the second step. The story has to be compelling. Nobody ever says to you, no, I don't want to hear the story of the home. It literally stops them in their tracks. And they're like, yeah, I actually do want to know the story of the home. And so you start telling them, and I'll give you an example of a compelling story. So let me tell you the story of this home. As you're walking through, you'll see the photos of the little girl and her parents are the ones that have us here today. And how I met them was at the bank. They actually wanted to build onto the home. And so they brought me over to see if there was space for that. And there's really not, because of this beautiful pool that they put outside. So I started asking them as I'm walking around the home with them, and the husband is telling me everything that he's done, from the kitchen to the windows to this amazing shower head and the master shower upstairs. And he's sharing with me where he wants to put the swing set. Now, obviously, that raised red flags for me. So I asked him, are you really sure you want to sell this home that you love so much? And he said, well, my wife wants a baby, and she doesn't want the baby's bedroom to be downstairs. So here's the deal. If you can find us a home that we agree on, and it's not going to be easy, we will go ahead and sell this home and move into a larger home. So the good news is they found a home after 27 that we looked at that they both agreed on, and they're moving in 2 weeks.
Woo.
And now we have this home listed for your viewing. That's a compelling story.
Yes.
It tells them features, benefits, without just focusing on features and benefits. It gives the story of why they're selling, because everybody always wants to know why somebody's selling a home. Like, is there something wrong with it? Are they moving out of state? Like, what's their story? Right? So after you tell them the story of the home, you're going to set them free. So the story of the home, setting them free. So that's step 1 is meet and greet. Step 2 is story of the home and setting them free. Now, by setting them free, you're not like one of those agents you see on TV that's like, and look at this beautiful kitchen. I mean, can't you just see yourself cooking right here? What if they hate the kitchen? You're following around the home and telling them how to think and feel about it. And they're never left alone to form their own opinions. So stop doing that. You're not a tour guide. You're a salesperson. Let them form their own opinions. So let them walk away. Your main point where you're standing should be in the front room. You should have a table there with 4 chairs so that if they want to come back and sit down and consult with you, they can. And it happens all the time to me. They will sit down and say, well, what's available? This home doesn't really fit because I have chairs sitting there for them.
Yes.
So they use them because I'm seated. So they sit down. It makes sense,
Love
right?
the psychology of that. That's so, you're immediately inviting them to have a conversation with you instead of scaring them away and out the door.
Well, and here's the thing. I stay seated throughout this whole process because apparently I'm intimidating. I don't know why people think that I'm intimidating, but everybody says that I'm intimidating. So I stay seated so that I'm not like, I'm a tall girl, so I'm not like towering over them or anything like that. They always walk over to my table and start talking to me. And that's when I share with them everything. And then when I set them free, I've already let them know that that's what I'm going to do. So I'm following through psychologically and planting in their mind that I'm a trustworthy person because I'm doing exactly what I said I would do.
Yes.
So I'm priming them for what I want when they come back. Okay. Now,
and you also, I want to point out something that you said earlier. I love it.
Yes.
You when you are telling the story, if I'm your potential buyer client and you know that much, I feel really good about the fact that you've done your research and you haven't done just the basic stuff and don't know anything about the house other than what's on the basic MLS stuff. I love that because that tells me Tina's really looked at this and she knows all of the wonderful things about this house. And that's extra than a lot of realtors do.
Yes. And I'll tell you why I love sitting homes that are not my listings in a minute. And I love ugly ducklings. And I'll tell you that in a minute. I love it. So here you are. You're getting ready to set them free. You should have your clipboard in your hand with a pen that has a survey. 5 questions, circled answers. So how was the curb appeal? 1 to 5. What did you think of the floor plan? 1 to 5. Okay, just 5 simple questions with their sign in on the bottom. Now, you don't ask them to sign in. It's there if they want to fill it out. That's not the main purpose of the survey. So here is the epic failure that most people do when they try to hand them something to fill out. They're like, well, here you go. I'd like for you to fill this out. No, you give it with confidence. So when you're telling the story of the home and then you're like, okay, I'm going to set you free. But before I do, the sellers have asked me to give you this survey because they would love your feedback. Now, be careful because I do share this information with them. But, bring this back when you're finished looking at the home and you can let me know your thoughts then. You are giving them a psychological directive to come back to you with the clipboard. That is how you get them to come back. You have to hand them something to get them to come back and talk to you.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if they don't fill it out. That's not the purpose. It's that they have to bring it back. Okay. So they walk away. And that was step 3, by the way, the survey. So they walk away. They're walking in around the home and whatever. You should have flyers, property flyers. You should not have given it to them yet. The flyer should have bedrooms and bathrooms, price point, and a picture of the property. Simple, basic information with square footage. That's it. Shouldn't be taxes, shouldn't be a plano with all of the information. You want them to ask you questions. But you haven't given them to it yet. Why? Because you need your second face. So they walk away They're in the bedroom and you're like, oh, by the way, I forgot to give this to you. You hand them the flyer, you walk away. Now they've seen you twice. Okay. By the time they come back to you at the end, now they've seen you the third time and now you're a familiar face.
Yes.
Okay. So they've walked away. They have the survey. When they're done, and my average people that walk into my open houses going through this method of bringing their task tension down, because by this point you were way up here. You were way up here in the beginning. Now you're about down here because you're not like everybody else.
Yeah.
They're starting to trust you. They're starting to like you because you've done everything you said you would do. You didn't follow them around. You didn't tell them how to feel or what to think. And now they have to come back to you. The fourth step is building commonality. So when they come back and they bring the survey to you and they hand it to you, your next question should be, so what did you think of the home? Now, also, I want you to hear what I'm saying. The psychology is when people are purchasing, this is a home. You told them the story of a home. When you're selling something, like when you're getting ready to list and you're selling to somebody that you want to list to, that's a property because you want them to disassociate. But when they're coming in and they're looking at this property, it is a home because it might be something that they're interested in to make their home. Okay. So they come back and you ask them, what did you think of the home? They hand you the survey. It may not even have anything on it. Whatever they start saying, you flip over that sheet of paper and you start writing it down. Let's say it's a little too small for me. Oh, okay. So what kind of square footage are you hoping for? You always use the word hoping because in this market, we all know there's no guarantee they're going to find exactly what they're looking for. So you're writing everything down. You're talking to them about their shoes, maybe their shirt, maybe they have something on their hat that resonates with you. You can ask them where they're from. Here in Arizona, I know it's the same in Orlando. A lot of people aren't from there. Or you pick up an accent and you're asking them questions like, oh, I hear your accent. Where are you from? And you start talking about that. Anything you can do to get them to talk to you is what you do. Okay. At this point, as you're writing stuff down, as they're talking, then you also want to have something in your mind that may be a piece of information that they don't know about that neighborhood. For instance, here in Sun City, which is a 55 plus community, the sewers were built in the 1960s, 1970s. Okay. He built them on cast iron piping with fast flushing toilets. And so because of that, the cast iron is starting to disintegrate. So if somebody says to me, well, I have an agent, I'm like, okay, well, you know, your agent may not be familiar with the fact that here in the Sun Cities, we require on my team a sewer scope to ensure that there's nothing wrong with the sewer. And I explain what the problem is with the sewers. And they're like, oh, my agent never told me that. Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to be helpful in that building commonality. You want to give them pieces of information that nobody else may ever have told them. And then all of a sudden, in step 5, you'll see this look as you're talking to them. All of a sudden, they'll look at each other and they'll be like, they're breaking their pact.
Yeah.
They're getting ready to pop the popcorn, the lie that they created in the car, and they're getting ready to tell you the truth. It doesn't matter what they say. You give them a pass. If they're like, okay, the truth is I don't really have an agent. Oh, that's okay. Everybody tells me they have an agent. It's not a big deal. Okay, the truth is I'm interviewing agents to list my property. And you know a lot about this property in this neighborhood. Oh, okay. Everybody tells me that they're looking for a friend or they live in the neighborhood. Doesn't matter what it is. Give them a pass. And that leads them into actually giving you the real information, which is step 6. But you have to come to the workshop to find out what that is.
There it is. That is so good because you kept using the word psychology, and that's what I thought every single time. It's thinking differently and presenting differently and acting differently, speaking and communicating differently. And there's psychology behind everything that you're teaching them, things that they wouldn't have normally thought of. Like some of the stuff, I'm like, that makes complete sense to me. It's almost like, I'm sure you have a lot of aha moments in your workshops.
Well, and I was just recently doing one of the workshops where there was an agent that's been doing business. I actually posted her review on one of my classes recently. And she was like, I've been doing real estate for 20 some odd years. And I was actually considering getting out of the business. Yeah. But this reinvigorated me, where I realized that I need to refresh on a few things and I can do this. And so it doesn't matter how long you've been in real estate. What my long-term agents have told me, and understand on my team, my full-timers, I don't have one agent with less than 7 years experience. I have one agent on my team that owns a brokerage in Washington. I have another agent on my team that's had her license 40 years. They're still learning these things. They're still taking it to heart. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the business. But I can tell you this, if you're a new agent, it's better just to get it right now and actually start closing your now money instead of waiting 5 years and being like, oh man, I wish I would have had this 5 years ago, which I get all the time. So
good. All right. So, that was excellent. And see, this is a teaser. So you have to, first of all, if you're not already motivated to want to, you really have to go to Tina's workshop. The link is in there, but I'm having her talk a little bit about how the workshop is set up, the dates, even though we've got the links. Let's go ahead and share verbally with them days, times, locations, all the good stuff.
Well, and I do want to point out before I do that in the last 4 years of using even just the first 5 steps, I have 4,000 leads from open houses. 4,000 that we are still keeping in contact with.
I love it.
That's insane. Good. That's insane. So, all right. So this event, June 8th and 9th, we will be at the Florida Hotel in the ballroom. We're very excited. After the first day, we're having an awesome cocktail party. So we're very excited about that. We have several sponsors that will be involved in this, anywhere from mortgage to title to a real estate company. Like, we're all there. And for being on the TED show today and him allowing me to talk about the first 5 steps, if you are watching this and you want to attend and you click on the link, you can use TED's promo at the TED show. That's your promo code, the TED show, and you get $100 off your $299 ticket.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
Now, we have limited seating because we do have social distancing at this event. We have tables set up and it's only 2 people per table, so that we have the social distancing in there as well. So we do have limited seating, of course. And I promise you, and I can say this with absolute certainty, nobody has just been disappointed that has attended my workshops. Not one person ever.
How could they be? You're imparting all this amazing wisdom on them, and you're giving people tools to expand their business, to do it right. I love that. You said new agents, doing it right, learning the right habits at the beginning instead of learning bad habits that are not producing you any kind of income, which a lot of people do. I absolutely love it. I'm super excited. Where's the Florida hotel? Somebody asked.
It's in Orlando. If you go to the link, I'll show you exactly where it is. It's by the Florida Mall.
That's right. It's by the Florida Mall.
By the Florida Mall. Yeah. So we did it centrally located, so it would be easy for everybody. If people decide from other areas that they want to stay the night, we have a block of rooms set aside at $109 a night. If you decide you want to stay, especially if you're planning on partying up at that happy hour.
That's right. Which we all will need. But I love the fact that you are offering that discount. Thank you so much. You guys go to the link. We'll post it again. Tina will post it. Bonnie will post it. Thanks to Bonnie. She's been on making comments. Thank you, Bonnie. I'm really excited. And I think people are hungry for what you're offering because the market is such a challenge for a lot of people right now. And I think they are looking for ways to do things differently and learn tools and gather resources that are going to make an impact. Because if you're just doing it the same way you've always done it, you'll probably hit a wall. And that's just what the market's doing. So Tina's going to provide you a lot of information on how you can get past that wall, I believe.
The first day is 16 steps. The second day is actual corporate level sales training. with overcoming objections, closing sequences, personality profiling, which is everybody's favorite class, where I literally help you determine who somebody is in the first 15 seconds that you meet them, and words to avoid with those types of people, words to use with those people, and your strong points with your personality type, and things that you need to be careful of.
Fantastic. All right. Go to the website. You can also probably reach Tina at tinavaliant.com, on social media. Reach to me, reach out to Bonnie. We will all get you to the link so that you can register for the awesome workshop on June 8th. Thank you for sharing all of that. I learned something today. I do every time you speak. So imagine if you got 2 days of good intensive information, what that would do for your business. Thank you, Tina, so much.
Absolutely. And I can promise you guys, you won't be bored. I'll make you laugh. I might even make you cry.
You will never be bored. All right, Tina Valiant, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Come on, get involved. Summer is kind of a crazy time. You guys know Orlando. Learn some new techniques and tricks, expand your business, figure out a way to get past that.